Hi, Jai Gurudev. This is Aramugam, physics teacher. See, today I am going to discuss about the electromagnetic induction. Already you familiar, it is electrostatic induction in first lesson. In electrostatic induction is nothing but obtaining a charge without contact with any other charge. That is called electrostatic induction. So electrostatic induction is nothing but obtaining a charge without contact with any other charge. This is electrostatic induction. But here we are going to see another one induction, that is called electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction. See, it's also very simple. Electromagnetic induction is nothing but we can produce electricity or electric current from the varying magnetic field. Induction, that means induces. We can induce the electric current due to the variation of magnetic field. This is the electromagnetic induction. Okay, how we can produce or induce the current? How we get this idea? See, you know that Weierstrass is one of the scientists. He found that electric field produces the magnetic field. Suppose any current carrying conductor will produce the magnetic field around the conductor. This is a Weierstrass statement. If the current flows through any conductor, the magnetic field is produced around the conductor. Produced around the conductor. So his statement is magnetic field is produced from the electric current. See, at the time of Faraday also noted this statement, magnetic field produced from the electric current. He also raised one more question, why don't we produce electric current from the magnetic field? From the magnetic field. So his thought is, Faraday's thought is converse effect of Weierstrass statement. Converse effect. What's a converse effect? See, opposite to that of the first case. See, from this idea, he developed and he also introduced the electromagnetic induction concept. We can see in our syllabus, they gave the 3 experiments. We can see the first experiment, Faraday's first experiment. From the experiment, we can get we can go for the conclusion. See the arrangemental setup for the first experiment. See, the diagram is see, this is an arrangemental setup for the first experiment, the Faraday's first experiment. See, very simple. I told already clearly, when the varying magnetic field will produce the current. Here also same way. See, C1 is one of the coil. The C1 is this a coil. This is connected with the galvanometer G. This is connected with the galvanometer G. See, the C1 is connected with the galvanometer. There is no current force in the circuit. And one more, bar magnet is placed nearer to the coil C1. Now also no current flows in the coil, so no deflection produced in the galvanometer. No current flows in the coil, so no deflection produced in the galvanometer when the magnet is kept at rest nearer to C1. The case is if the bar magnet move towards the coil. Now the magnet move towards the coil. What happened? You can see the deflection in the galvanometer in one direction. If the coil move towards the galvanometer, what's that? The magnet is moved towards the coil C1, deflection produced in the galvanometer. Suppose if you take it away, the magnet is take it away from the coil C1, The deflection is produced in the galvanometer, but it is opposite to the first case. That means the deflection is opposite to the direction of the first case. So anyway, wherever the flux changes, whenever the magnet moves towards the coil or away from the coil, magnetic field varies. So due to the variation of magnetic field, current is produced or induced in the coil C1, so the deflection produced. So from the first experiment, conclusion is varying magnetic field will induce the electric current. So this is a first experiment conclusion. Same way, second experiment, we can see the diagram. See, this is a second diagram. It's an arrangemental setup for the second experiment. This arrangement setup is similar to that of the first experiment. The only difference is, what is the major difference? The bar magnet is replaced by the coil with the battery. Here you can add more. C2 is another one coil connected with the battery. So only difference is, what is it? The bar magnet for the first experiment, the bar magnet is replaced by the coil C2 with the battery. Here also same thing, the C2 with the battery is kept nearer to C1. No deflection in the galvanometer. If you move the coil C2 with the battery, that is looks like a current carrying conductor. When current flows through the coil, that is called current carrying conductor. It looks like a current carrying conductor. If the C2 move towards the coil C1, what happens? Deflection produced due to the varying magnetic field. Suppose moving away from the coil C1, the deflection is produced in the galvanometer, but it is opposite to the first case. Suppose if we move the C2 rapidly towards the C1 or take it away from the coil C1 rapidly means speedily. Suppose rapidly we can move C2 towards C1 or take it out from the C1. The deflection produced in the galvanometer is large. That means large deflection is produced only by the speed of the or moment of the C2, relative motion between the C1 and C2. So if they move fastly, the large amount of current will be produced due to the large amount of variation of magnetic field. This is the second experiment. The same way, we can see the third experiment. It also very easy. That also similar to that of the second experiment. See the diagram. First you see the arrangemental setup, and then I will explain the experiment and conclusion. See, this is a arrangemental setup for the third experiment. Here the same thing. Here also there is no difference. Only one difference is what is the difference between the second and third? Here I just add one more key. Already you familiar C2 with the battery. Here I add only one key. Only key is here. A key only added. Okay. Now the C1, C2 can have the common axis. Already familiar, C1 is a coil connected with the galvanometer. C2 connected with the battery with the key. They are the common axis. There is no relative motion between the C1 and C2. So no deflection produced in the galvanometer. If you move C2 towards C1, you know that. So current carrying conductor, just C2 carrying current. So this is a current carrying conductor. Current carrying conductor always have some magnetic field. If you move towards C1, automatically the EMF induced or current induced the coil C1. So deflection produced. You know that. Correct. Suppose if you press key K, if you press the key, what happens? The deflection produced in the galvanometer at that moment. At the second only produce a deflection. After that will come to 0. Suppose if you release the key, they have some deflection in the galvanometer. So whenever you press the key, there is deflection. Whenever you release the key, there is some deflection in the galvanometer. Suppose if the key is pressed continuously, continuously, what happens? There is no deflection in the galvanometer. That is, no current flows in the coil. No current flows through the coil. So whenever you press the key or release the key, the deflection produced in the galvanometer. And next one, if you insert any iron core, iron rod, soft iron rod is inserted into the coil C2. Soft iron rod inserted into C2 will also leads to increase the magnetic field. So due to the increasing the magnetic field or varying magnetic field will leads to increase the induced current, so that we have the large deflection in the galvanometer. When we insert the soft iron rod into the coil C2 will leads to increase the magnetic field and also leads to increase the induced current. So this is a way we can increase the induced current. Maybe they will ask, how will you increase the induced current? Maybe sometimes they will ask in the skill question. Okay, from the 3 experiment, we can have one skill question in our textbook. You can see the question and then I will explain the remaining thing. You can see the question. See, that is, you see the question first. See, this is the first question in the syllabus. See, example 1. Consider the experiment 6.2. You know that. What would you do to obtain a large deflection of the galvanometer? The second question. How would you demonstrate the presence of an induced current in the absence of galvanometer? See, one more time I tell you, what is the question? What would you do to obtain a large deflection of the galvanometer? Already I told you, for the case of large deflection, what is that? Now only we discussed, we can insert the soft iron rod into the coil. It's one of the way. Second one, if we move the coil C2, move fastly towards the C1, it also leads to increase the induced current. So large deflection will produce. And third one, in the coil C2, connected with the battery. Suppose if you increase the battery, increase the current in the coil C2. That means powerful battery is connected to the coil C2 will also leads to increase the current, or we can have a large deflection in the galvanometer. See the answer. The thing is, 3 steps is there. One is use the rod made of soft iron. Inside the coil. One, I told you. Second one, connect the coil to the powerful battery. Powerful battery is such that we can increase the flowing current to the coil C2 increases. Third one, move the arrangement rapidly towards the test coil C1. Rapid means speed. See, you can arrange the arrangement rapidly towards the test coil C1. So these are the 3 factors which leads to increase the large deflection. Second question. What is the second question? How would you demonstrate the presence of induced current in the absence of galvanometer? See, for the 3 experiment, we used only galvanometer only. Without galvanometer, how will you demonstrate the induced current? It's a very simple one. The galvanometer is replaced by the small bulb. So whenever current flows through the circuit, the bulb will glow. So this is the way we can easily explain the induced current. See, the answer is replace the galvanometer by a small bulb. The kind one finds in a small torchlight. That means the relative motion between the two coils will cause the bulb to glow and demonstrate the presence of an induced current. So this is a way we can demonstrate the induced current without galvanometer. Okay, thank you. We will discuss another topic in the next video. Thank you.